So, chapter 5 is the meaning and value of work. In the discussion case, the term social entrepreneurship is introduced. It's basically when a for profit business is set up to address a specific social need. While the company is created to work on the solution to an issue, they also have to afford to research the solution and get it places. So, to do this, they sell different products. Project 7 is a company that sells gourmet gum and gummies of many flavors, including mint chocolate ice cream, different Girl Scout cookies, s'mores, any flavor you can think of, they have it. All the profits, besides those that go to cover production cost and wages, go to an assortment of causes, such as environmental sustainability, emergency housing after natural disasters, feeding the hungry, providing healthy drinking water, providing medicines and treatments for malaria, teaching in developing nations, and promoting anti-bullying programs. Social enterprises, work in ways that are not generally thought of as work. Everything we do, though, is work. You want to run faster, you work on it. You want to see a new movie but don't have any money? Work for the money. Work, in a way, is a means to an end. That being said, work is also what you make of it. In the Bible, Adam and Eve were forced to work after being cast out of the Garden of Eden. It was a punishment for their sin of eating from the forbidden fruit. In that case, work is a sin and therefore shouldn't be enjoyed, but still has to be done. Karl Marx thought of it in a different way. He saw work as a way for people to express their humanity and reach full potential and be at peace. If everyone contributed to the work, he thought the community would be healthier, happier, and run better. Regardless of how you see work, there is an ethical standard for people to make sure that working conditions are safe and fair for their employees. All right, so the meanings of work. First, we have the dictionary definition. Work as a noun is an accomplishment, such as a general undertaking or task, job, or unemployment. As a verb, it's an activity that includes discipline, toil, and a measure of concentration. Now, there are varieties of work, and we're going to be looking at work in the context of a job for the rest of this slide. So a job can be in housework, farming, teaching, government job. Everyone wants to know what everybody else's job is. Part of that is because humans are nosy, but a larger part is that jobs are often linked to personal values that somebody holds. If you're a policeman, you tend to have different values than a Fortune 500 CEO. All work comes with a value. Some work, again, as in the context of a job, comes with money. You work how many hours, and you get paid the value of that work. In these cases, there's a variety of different jobs a person can get into. We have higher job mobility today than we've ever had. And we also have a variety of jobs to pick from: part-time, contracted, seasonal, full-time, all sorts of jobs. Work, though, doesn't have to be a job. It can also be something that you're passionate about. You can work to better a golf game, or work for a charity, or just do work in your home because you like your family. Stereotypically, work is something you dread doing and procrastinate as long as possible, though. This view mainly comes from two approaches to work. First is the classical interpretation of work, which believes that work diminishes human capabilities as Humans are meant to be intellectuals and not made for physical labors. Work is mainly physical and therefore, drains our potential. This views that people should reach a happy life through exploring politics, art, and culture. If the only way to do these things is to have a job so you can get the money, then work is a necessary evil. The hedonistic approach is slightly similar. It is where work is needed so that people can do what you want. So again, we have the necessary evil, but in this case, happiness and fulfillment doesn't necessarily come from intellectual pursuits, but rather things that make you feel good and feel happy. This can range from sex, drugs, and alcohol to reading, exercising, or knitting. As long as it makes you happy, the hedonistic approach says that that is what you're working for. Human fulfillment model is the opposite of both of these. This approach says that work is needed to be happy. Everyone has a certain potential that they need to fill, and by working, you fill it. This potential can be anything. Think of any skill that you want. The book uses an analogy of a golf game, and it works. The more you practice and work on your golf game, the better you are, the happier you are. If you've ever heard the term idle hands are the devil's workshop, think along those lines. The less work you do, the more you're going to make bad decisions. Back to the golf analogy, if you don't work on your golf game and never improve, you lose interest and become apathetic towards the sport. If you're not going to get better, why try? Work provides a sense of purpose and along with it, a sense of belonging to a community. Not all work is good, however. Selling drugs in the back of a middle school gym is not the same moral level as working in a soup kitchen. To figure out if the work is positive or negative, you have to ask the question, what does this work do to me? Negative side effects make the job worse, positive side effects make the job better, and to figure out if a job is right for you, you have to ask yourself if you can deal with the negative and positive consequences, because you get both. The liberal model of work is next. Here, there is not an ultimate goal to work. Rather, work is something you interact with. You shape your work, and in turn, your work shapes you. Think of it as art. Sorry about that. Think of it like art. You draw a dog when you're a toddler, and then again when you enter college. More than likely, the two pictures are going to be different. You've seen more dogs and learned the shape of animals more than when you were a toddler, and you've just learned about animals in general. You are shaping your work. In return, if you work on it for a while, you may become interested in art culture. You may go to see a museum, an art fair, look in the internet or in books. Art becomes a part of your life and therefore shapes the person that you become. There is an idea in this model that you should be able to choose your own work. If you're going to be shaped by something, you should be able to choose what it is. If you choose a job or area of work because it's the only one available to you, this doesn't mean that you choose it freely. If you want to be a ballerina, but work at McDonald's because you can't get a job yet, that doesn't mean that you freely chose McDonald's. Excuse me. In these cases especially, it is up for the employer, or to the employer, to provide good working conditions to make up for the lack of choice. And then in all jobs, it's ethical for the employer to make sure you have good working conditions. Just when you don't get a pick, it's even more so. So not all jobs are going to be moral and appropriate though. The morality of a job is measured by autonomy, rationality, and physical and mental health. If you have high autonomy and rationality, then you're good. And if you have physical and mental health that's good, on top of that, you're even better. It's a moral job and you will be influenced positively. So, there we go. How can a business make environments that focus on ethical responsibilities and make work meaningful? So the classical model is going to say that work cannot be made meaningful. Only intellectual pursuits can be meaningful. Work is just a way to get to those pursuits. The hedonistic approach is going to say that work is viewed from the perspective of getting to be able to do what you want later. If you're earning money now to be able to afford yarn for your new sweater later, then it's meaningful. A business and employee should be able to haggle wages and conditions, though. You want to get the most you can for your work. Human fulfillment says that work has to have a positive effect on the workers and be able to help them reach their full potential. If those negative side effects are too high, then it's not going to be an ethical work environment. However, if you make sure that your employees are being shaped into more positive people, then you're helping them reach your full potential and you're doing good. The liberal model says that businesses must make sure that workers are able to keep their own autonomy, rationality, and physical and mental health. If a worker is lacking in any one of those, employers have to fix that to make sure that the environment focuses on ethical responsibilities and makes the work meaningful. So you've listened to me talk. What are your thoughts? Which of the models do you think reflects your personal thoughts or views on the work the most? Earlier in the chapter, there is also a mention of Greg Smith, the Goldman Sachs executive, who gave up his very well-paying job to be able to find a job that makes him happier. Would you be able to give up a job that pays very well if you are no longer excited to have that job? If you don't feel fulfilled in it, would you still work there? Because it's a nice monetary figure. Lastly, do you believe that employers have a responsibility to certain conditions for their workers? Or are the conditions just suggestions as long as the workers get paid? Thank you for listening, and hope to hear your point of view on these questions.